Oh. Blazed. Oh. Oh shit. It's 420, man. I forgot about the video. Did anybody order any pizza? Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If this is your first time here, my name is Justin. On this channel, we talk about movies, horror, toys, collectibles. We do movie reviews, rankings, recommendations, unboxings. We talk physical media, all kinds of movie-related shit. If that sounds good, I'm gonna go ahead and link a couple of my most recent videos below. Feel free to check those out. If you dig them, think about subscribing. But definitely, if you could, even if you like this video just a tiny little bit, give it a like. It really helps me out a lot. So today, my job to you is to provide you with some new, fresh ideas for your 420 viewing pleasure while you're toking up, partaking with your friends, having a good time with some herbal refreshment. I got some movies for you. Some are classics, some you may have heard of, some you may not have heard of. There's a couple deep cuts on here. I included some straight comedies. I included some stereotypical stoner type movies. And then I included just some batshit fun, ridiculous movies just to kick back and just to have a good time while you're watching with some buddies, partying a little bit. I really hope you enjoy this list. In this group of movies, these are some of my all-time favorite movies. I've watched all of these movies just thousands of times at this point, so I really hope you dig them. So let's jump into the list. I have a few runner-ups, runners-ups, runner-ups, and then I have the main list of 10 plus one bonus movie. We have a lot to get through. I'm actually really busy in my Saw series. I'm watching, reviewing, and ranking every single movie in the Saw series, so I'm going to keep this as brief as possible. Those videos will be coming out soon. The Saw franchise, I'm just doing some editing right now, and the first couple will be out soon, so be looking out for that. But I did want to do something special for the 420 holiday, so let's jump into these movies. I had 3 runner-ups, but I actually just added one more movie that probably could have been at home right in the main stack, but what the hell, I'm just gonna throw it here at the beginning of the video. And that is Steven Kostanski's brand new ridiculous 90s throwback Psycho Goreman. I already did a review for the movie. You can check that out. I did a review and unboxing of this hunky boy Blu-ray. If you've heard of Psycho Goreman but for some reason have not checked it out, this movie is a 90 kid's dream. It's a mix of Saturday morning cartoons and Power Rangers smashed up with trauma films like Toxic Avenger. It's an absolute blast. It's about an intergalactic planet-destroying demon who was born to kill, and that's all he's meant to do. He crash lands on Earth. A couple punk-ass kids find him in their backyard, and they ultimately have control over him for a silly reason. But over-the-top gore, ridiculous fun, rubber suit costumes. So fucking light one up and watch Psycho Goreman. It's incredible. Or edibles. You kids take edibles these days. So go ahead and check out Psycho Goreman. My next 3 are the original runner-ups I had. Now you might think when you see these movies, why aren't they just in the main selection? It's because these are just too obvious, but I couldn't make a video like this without mentioning, so I'm actually just going to do them all at once. Dazed and Confused, must see. If you have not seen it, you gotta see it. Ben Affleck, Parker Posey. I could list 50 freaking cast members that are in this movie.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Watch Dazed and Confused. It's f***ing phenomenal. Next up is the classic Half Baked. This is a 90s classic that may predate any younger viewers. Basically, it's about a group of 3 stoners. One night they're getting blazed. One of them has to go on snack duty, so he goes and gets a shitload of snacks and pizzas and all kinds of shit. On his way back home, he gives a cop's horse a shitload of popcorn.
You like popcorn. It makes your teeth go pop, 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 pop.
And the horse dies. It sounds ridiculous. And he goes to jail for being a cop killer because it was a cop's horse. From then on, it is a ridiculous, fucking zany adventure while his other 2 buddies try to get him out of jail by selling weed. They're trying to raise money to get him out of jail by selling weed. It's a fucking classic stoner comedy. If you haven't seen it, watch it immediately. It's fantastic.
That's it.
And the next runner-up is Grandma's Boy, another mid-2000s. When did this come out? 2006. Amazing stoner comedy. This is a Happy Madison movie, Adam Sandler's company, about a bunch of stoners. This is a very early appearance of Jonah Hill.
May I see you in my office for a minute, please?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm so fired.
They all work as video game testers in this video game company, but all they do is just like party and smoke weed. It's fucking hilarious. It's got Linda Cardellini.
I fucking love this girl!
Kevin Nealon, Nick Swartzen, Shirley Jones. The cast is amazing. Every single line is quotable to no end. There's a lot of Happy Madison people. Rob Schneider has a really funny appearance in this movie. Absolute classic. You got to see it. Amazing. Now we're gonna get into my main stack here. We got 10 selections with one runner-up. We got some great stuff here, so stay tuned. Watch the whole video, goddammit. First up, a super weird one. Some of you may have heard of this one. Some of you may not have. Return to Oz. This is essentially a sequel to the 1940 movie, 1930 original movie, Wizard of Oz, okay? But this one, Dorothy is played by Fairuza Balk, okay? Who played the main crazy witch in The Craft. So some of you may not know that this movie even exists, and if you do know it exists, well, you know it's amazing. This is a post-apocalyptic wasteland Wizard of Oz. The premise is, there's a weird scenario, Dorothy gets sent back to Oz, only Oz is now an apocalyptic wasteland. It's absolutely bizarre. It's no longer the Cowardly Lion in the Tin Man. There's this odd, weird thing named TikTok that resembles C-3PO that follows her around, as well as this insane Pumpkinhead as one of her pals. This movie is absolutely bizarre. It's terrifying. There's weird talking chickens. This movie is bizarre. If you've yet to see Return to Oz, do yourself a favor and watch this movie fully blazed up. It'll blow your mind. Next up, a classic, Little Shop of Horrors. This movie is an absolute blast. Rick Moranis, Steve Martin. It is literally about a gigantic plant. In fact, I have Audrey 2, named Audrey 2, that basically is a giant man-eating plant who has like a badass singing voice. Like I said, not all these are stoner movies, but they fit your vibe. I promise you will vibe with these movies. This movie has Bill Murray, Steve Martin, Rick Moranis, Christopher Guest. It was directed by Frank Oz. It's batshit insane, and you have to see it. If you've heard of Little Shop of Horrors and you haven't seen it, oh my God, watch Little Shop of Horrors. It's a perfect movie for your 420 evening. Next up, one of my absolute favorites, and this is a deep cut. You guys may not have ever heard of this one. Justin Long stars in The Sasquatch Gang. This movie is absolutely, from beginning to end, hilarious. Basically, this follows a group of kids in this little small town. It's really, this really has a Napoleon Dynamite type of vibe, but this movie is rated R. It's not quite as family friendly as that, but there's this group of kids that do like these reenactments of like sword battles in their front yard with this like Lord of the Rings type music. They're super nerds, and their next door neighbors is Justin Long in hilarious form. He's got this 2-foot long mullet. He just terrorizes these kids. But
what's on his back?
Hey, illegal hit! You're disqualified! He wins!
Get out of here.
Yeah, Dirk, poke that piggy.
it ultimately centers around them trying to find Bigfoot. It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. I promise you guys will laugh from beginning to end. The Sasquatch Gang is hilarious.
I promised my mom I'd be home for dinner.
No. We gotta take care of this now before the sun goes down. It's gotta be light out.
But it's nugget night.
No, I don't care if... Seriously, you having nuggets? You gotta let me come over?
No.
Fine, man, whatever. I don't care. I'll get my own nuggets, all right? New plan. You go eat your nuggets. I'll get my hands on my own nuggets. Don't you worry about how.
Yes. And who's the guy who's in this? I forget his name. Carl Weathers is in this as well. Great movie. You gotta see it. Next up, another surreal classic. Like I said, not all these are just about people smoking weed. They just fit the vibe, man. They fit the vibe. The next is My Boyfriend's Back. This is a super surreal, bizarre zombie comedy, like zombie romantic comedy, Zomcom. It was directed by the same director who did the movie Parents. He's really strange type of horror movie. It's about a guy who has a big, massive crush on this girl, and he tries to save her in this gas station robbery. He gets shot, but he comes back as a zombie, but he just goes to high school. Like he wakes up the next day and he goes to school, but he's a zombie. It's super zany. The vibe and tone of this movie is so surreal. It's such a bizarre movie, but it's really, really great. There's a super early performance from Philip Seymour Hoffman in almost an unrecognizable role as one of these high school kids. If you haven't seen My Boyfriend's Back, you gotta watch it. It's perfect for your 420 evening. Next up, Idle Hands. Amazing, amazing horror comedy. Seth Green, Devon Sawa. It's an amazing, amazing horror comedy. Jessica Alba and what may have been one of her first movie roles. Devon Sawa plays a kid, a young, greasy kind of stoner kid. And his best friends are Seth Green and another actor. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, and I don't care to look it up right now. His hand gets possessed, like Evil Dead 2 style, and he ends up murdering both of his friends in this really bizarre, wacky scene at the beginning of the movie, and his friends come back as ghosts, kind of like Christmas Carol or like American Werewolf in London, that type of vibe. It's hilarious, it's gory, it's funny. It's got great horror elements, it's got great comedy elements, and it's ultimately just a really well-written horror comedy. If you haven't seen Idle Hands, absolutely check this out. This is the Scream Factory release, but you can find other releases of it. It's absolutely fantastic. Great practical effects. You guys will love it. Check out Idle Hands. For the next couple, we're going a little bit more serious route. We're going a little more kind of stonery horror route. The first of which being the movie Bliss. I've talked about this movie a bunch on this channel. This is a Joe Begos movie. He also did VFW. This is like a neon 16mm nightmare about this drug that people take called Bliss. It's this black cocaine looking substance. The main girl in here, she plays an artist. She's struggling to find inspiration for her latest piece. She's getting ready to get dropped by her art representation. So she needs some inspiration and she takes this drug called Bliss. At which point she blacks out and weird shit happens. I don't want to give a whole lot away, but this turns into an extremely gory, sort of vampire movie, okay? And I don't want to go into a lot of details. I've never seen anything quite like this, and if you've seen VFW, it has the same aesthetic as far as this kind of dark, neon, surrealistic, wet city streets, like cruising around vibe. If you've seen VFW or this movie, you know what I'm talking about. Absolutely cannot recommend Bliss enough. It's super weird. May not be for everyone, and there is some bizarre scenes. This movie doesn't have any comedy in it. This isn't a sort of comedy movie, but I think you'll absolutely love it, especially if your head's right in this movie. This movie is trippy as with a lot of these psychedelic drug scenes. You guys will really dig it. Keeping it with the surrealistic horror psychedelic drug vibes, Frank Henenlotter's Brain Damage. You guys have seen my Aylmer back there. This movie is an absolute trip. The basic premise is there's this little alien weird worm guy who feeds on people's brains, but he has to have a host to do it. So what he does is he finds a host and he has this little thing that comes out of his mouth, and if somebody puts him on the back of their neck, it injects this psychedelic ooze that makes them euphoric, see all these insane colors, and they're basically on the best drug they've ever had in their life. And at the time that this is happening, Aylmer is getting the brains. But he can only do this with the assistance of people helping him because he's like a foot-long worm and he needs help getting victims. This movie is absolutely bizarre. Frank Henenlotter also did the Basket Case trilogy. He did Frankenhooker, a couple other movies. Watch Brain Damage. It's fucking incredible. And now we have a few more that you probably haven't heard of if you're a little bit younger, and there's a couple other in here that are super, super obscure. The next one I'm going to talk about is called Blowin Smoke, okay? I know that name sounds cheesy. When I originally saw this back in the day on HBO when I was a lot younger in the 90s, it was called Freak Talks About Sex. This is just an absolute complete hangout movie with Steve Zahn and Josh, what's his name? Josh Hamilton. Two stoners hanging out, having stony conversations, talking about life. It's a really coming of age story, but kind of coming of age in your mid-20s leading into your late 20s. Kind of the, when you have to kind of kick yourself in gear, but you're still stuck doing the same old thing in the same town. But the highlight of this movie is absolutely Steve Zahn. The scenes when they're just sitting around bullshitting, smoking weed is Absolutely classic. This is criminally underseen Steve Zahn movie. Any stoner movie fan has to see Blowin Smoke. Seek it out, look it up. You gotta see it. It's incredible. Next up, and then the last two are super stonery, okay? So if you didn't think the list was stony enough, wait till the last two. The next up is Stay Tuned. Now this one is another one, and I didn't want to pick just a bunch of Cheech and Chong, Dazed and Confused, Ginger, Dead Man, Evil Bong type stoner movies the whole time. I wanted to give some movies that just kind of fit the stony vibe. If you're in the right mindset, you watch a weird-ass, ridiculous, fun movie, that is Stay Tuned. Basically, John Ritter, the late John Ritter, R.I.P., plays a guy who's obsessed with TV. All he does is watch his massive cable package, sports, TV shows. He's obsessed with watching TV. One night, someone shows up who happens to be the devil. It also happens to be this guy. Ooh, yikes. Canceled. And what he does is he sells them this ultimate TV package, this giant, ridiculous, cartoonish TV setup. But what it does is basically take him to hell. He gets sucked into this satellite dish. Has his little remote with him. He hits the remote. He is actually placed inside one of these bizarro alternate universe TV shows where he plays all these different characters. One is this fucked up like Tom and Jerry style cartoon where he plays a cartoon, but like the cat is really going to fucking kill him. There's a lot of spoofs of other shows, like there's Wayne's World, but it's Dwayne's Underworld where Wayne and Garth are zombies. And it actually gets really dark and strange. Each channel is more odd than the next. They just don't make movies like this. If you haven't seen Stay Tuned, watch this movie. It's incredible. Next up, another one you've probably never ever heard of. This is a Zooey Deschanel movie called Flakes. This movie takes place in a cereal bar. It's about a guy who is sort of stunted and he's stuck working at the cereal bar owned by Christopher Lloyd. Yes, Christopher Lloyd is the owner of a cereal bar. And when I say cereal bar, it means you walk up to the counter and you don't order beers, you pick your cereals, and all the different stoners and all the different people that come in want their specific mix of cereal. They're like, let me get a little Captain Crunch with a little Fruit Loops and sprinkle a little Fruity Pebbles on, and it's another slice of life type movie. Basically, the loose plot is a guy comes in, he's trying to franchise Flakes, that's the name of the cereal bar. The owner, Christopher Lloyd, of course, doesn't want to do it. He's like this old school stoner guy, fuck corporate bullshit. And so what the other guy does is he opens a rival cereal bar across the street. The movie's fucking great. Zooey Deschanel, even if you don't like Zooey Deschanel a lot, this is a pretty subdued role for her. It's a really great movie. The guy, her boyfriend, the guy who works at the cereal bar, is a musician. She's kind of pissed at him because he's being lazy and not pursuing his musical dream and all that type of stuff. Great movie. Watch Flakes. If you haven't heard of it, watch it. Watch it. Now, finally, the ultimate stoner movie, my favorite stoner movie of all time, The Stoned Age. Better than Dazed and Confused, better than Cheech and Chong, more quotable than any stoner comedy of all time. I speak the truth when I say that. I ain't gonna lie to you. Stoned Age is absolutely incredible. The same writer who did the movie Airheads, kind of similar vibe as Dazed and Confused. It takes place over the course of one single night. They see this guy who they both hate on the side of the road trying to hitchhike. They don't want to fucking pick him up, but he says he's got some chicks. So the two guys are trying to get some chicks, and they found out where some chicks are partying. They say chicks about 50,000 times in this movie. Basically, it's their quest for chicks, okay? In the 70s. It's absolutely hilarious. You gotta see Stoned Age. Those of you who know about Stoned Age know just how classic it is. I don't know if I'm doing quite a good enough job selling the movie. I didn't have enough time to write a script or write a really in-depth description. And when I tell you every single line in this movie is quotable, it is. It's an absolute stoner classic. I don't know why it's not better known, but if you haven't seen The Stoned Age, you have to see it. They're cruising around the blue torpedo, man, trying to get some chicks. You gotta see it. Stoned Age is an absolute classic. Guys, that's my list. I know this video went longer than I wanted to. I'm out of breath now. I tried to talk as quickly as I could, and I know this video is still gonna be too long. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm happy to get my 420 recommendations out to you. Those of you who always watch my videos, I really appreciate it. To new people here, thank you as well. Hit the subscribe button, guys. Stay weird, always be yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.